And what I teach my ladies when I talk about self-care is that there's this triangle of body, mind, and soul. And as women, we are driven. We want to have a career. We want to marry. We want to have kids. Then we want the white picket fence house, and we want abundance. And then we want the house and the car in the driveway. And so we're always driven by all these outside things, in addition to people needing from us as women, as mothers, as wives, and things like that. And so we tend to overgive. And this triangle, where you should be at the top of it, goes upside down. So then you have
Mm,
yourself at the bottom of the barrel, and you're struggling, you're overgiving, you're burned out, frazzled, lacking focus, beating yourself up, making yourself wrong because you should be able to la la la. And so I work on this process first. You need
mm.
to be your own priority, and not from a selfish place, but you need to take care of you.
What's up, you beautiful beasts? I'm Katie. I'm on a mission to help humans become their favorite versions of themselves and to strive for overall health by healing their relationship to food and exercise, healing their relationship to their body, and most importantly, healing their relationship to themselves, all without ever having to step on a scale. I have had the privilege to talk to all kinds of different humans who have been through a plethora of experiences just being a human and existing. I believe that every single time someone shares their story, at least one person listening will learn from it, be inspired by it, and maybe, just maybe, even change the entire direction of their life. These are the stories of humans unveiling their beautiful beast. Keep listening. This is the Unveiling the Beast podcast. So I'm actually glad that you asked because I'm kind of sort of changing the direction of the podcast without changing the direction of the podcast, meaning um, I've had it since 2019. And then I took 3 years off when COVID hit, and then I went back at it. And so far, up
Oh,
until
yeah.
now, it's been I interview anybody and everybody who's willing to tell their story of how they got to be who they are, basically. And, stories of triumph, overcoming obstacles, whatever it is. I've had people they've had cancer 3 times and been told 3 times they're going to die and they're still alive and they're cancer free. And so all people, all walks of life. What I do as a coach, I'm a neurotransformational coach, certified nutrition specialist, and personal trainer. So that's mind, body, and soul, I guess. And
Yeah.
so I work with the handful of people who become obsessed with the numbers and not necessarily have eating disorders, but disordered eating habits, or
Mm.
have that in the past. So my goal is to help people achieve overall health, like mental health, emotional health, physical health, all of the healths without ever having to step on a scale because the scale tells us jack.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
what I'm doing now is interviewing the people who are in what I'm calling my pillows of health. So sleep experts, nutrition experts who are intuitive eating informed, NLP, um, yeah, anything that can help a human be better
That's
through
beautiful.
behaviors or
That's
healing,
beautiful.
So
Mhm.
that's the new direction of the podcast, and you're the third person I am interviewing for that direction. So I'm excited to have you here.
That's wonderful.
Does
Thank
that
you for
help?
having me. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It
Yeah.
helps. It helps me understand where you come from, and then we have
Yeah.
some of the trainings we have are very much overlapping. So it's good to hear. I'm not
That's
longer doing
awesome.
weight loss, but that's how I started. So yeah,
Okay. Awesome. So can
yeah,
you tell me a little bit about who you are and
yeah. I would
kind
love
of
to.
why you
Yeah.
think you are who you are?
We'll be talking for 5 days here, but I'll try to make it succinct and clear and elegant, as I like to say. So my name is Natalia Schifini. I am originally from Argentina. So when you hear that little accent, it's because Spanish is my language, my mother language. I speak four different languages. I speak Italian and French, other than English and Spanish, and nobody can guess exactly where I'm from. It's like I always have this joke that nobody can
Mm.
tell I'm Latina, and I can laugh about it. But yeah, my dad was Italian, my mom was from Paraguay, and I was born and raised in Argentina. I came here at the age of 19. I live in the Melbourne area, 1 hour away from Mickey Mouse here in Florida, and I live by the beach. So I'm blessed to have a beautiful daughter and two beautiful pups. I'm married. I live with my husband here, who's a personal trainer and works from home. And
Mm.
I would say I'm a holistic life coach altogether, but I have 8 different certifications that stem from wellness to hypnotherapist, hands-on healing, and I've been doing this work for 23 years at this point. I've been a personal trainer for 23 years, and that's when it all started, like I share with you. And what I do right now is I help spiritual women monetize their gift, whatever it is that
Mm.
their gift is. So many times they'll go through the process of finding out what is the gift they bring to the world and finding a way to use it to benefit themselves, their family members, and also to benefit the world, to make a difference, an impact, right? All of us are
Yeah.
driven by that, impacting people, making a difference. And so I want more women to be empowered, to know that they got what it takes and that they just have to kind of sort the doubt and the lack of confidence and lack of focus out, and then everything, we're meant to bring a bigger impact to the world. So that's what I've been focusing on for the last few months. But I started my career as an online coach in 2020 when the pandemic hit. I started with weight loss. I did weight loss for a little over a year and a half. I lost 44 pounds in a period of 6 months. And, I felt like I had a lot to share. I struggled with weight all my life. I started, at a young age when I was playing sports, and my coach challenged me to lose weight. So that's how I started. And then I kind of went into more things as I advanced. But yeah, I started the online world when I got let go of a job and corporate world in 2020 with the pandemic, and a lot of us started that way in the online world.
Mm.
But yeah, I'm very excited and feel honored to do what I do. And yeah, I think that's a brief intro who I am.
I love it. I
Thank
I
you.
love too that you mentioned that you have, would you say 8 certifications?
Yeah, I think it's a total
Is
of
that right?
8. I have to count them
And
again by 7 or 8. Yeah.
that's cool. And I love that you didn't feel the need to list them off. Because I
No.
think so many times people are so focused on the certification rather than like actually embodying the work that they do as a part of who they are. So,
Mhm.
so I love that about you.
Thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you so, so much. I appreciate it. I'm happy to connect with you, and I appreciate your opportunity for other people to tell their story as well. There's always a
Mm.
reason to connect with people. And yeah, I'm happy to be here.
So how did you get into holistic health? Did it start in 2020 or did it start before that?
No, it's a beautiful question that you asked. And once again, I don't want to give you the long version. I want to make it as simple as it could be. But I started with holistic healing in 98. A friend of mine who's also a holistic healer and life coach introduced me to the book Louise Hay, the book that Louise Hay wrote, You Can Heal Your Life. Initially, I had come to United States from Argentina, and as you leave people and places behind, many times we think that we leave everything, behind.
Hmm.
But the
Yeah.
truth is we bring the stuff with ourselves. So there was a lot of things that were hindering my now moment at that time in 1997, 98, and my friend recommended that book for me. But my healing really was something that I needed to uncover when I started losing my voice at the age of 15, 16. And yes, I play sports, right? I would
Hmm.
cheer and celebrate and all that stuff, but it was really noticeable that I would lose my voice. It took me a long time to figure it out what it was. And even as you hear me now, you hear a deep voice, right? And so After 2 years of going to the speech therapist, she said, "Thank you so much. It's been great to meet you. I can not longer help you. I don't think I being able to help you. I don't think I'm gonna be able to help you. And I recommend that you start yoga." Because every time I
Hmm.
saw my speech therapist, I would fix the problem and then I'll come back the next session with the same problem, which is I was losing my voice. And so then I realized after the many years of healing and trying to find out the reason is that the throat chakra was blocked, right? So as healers, we
Hmm.
understand that concept really easy. But as somebody who's trying to find out what's going on, that I'm losing my voice, I also have problems with food, with excessive food, and so it was the throat chakra. And so many times when we have
Hmm.
something we want to say or express, if we push it down, then that remains blocked. So for years, I had gone through the process of yoga, hands on healing, Reiki. I did Hatha yoga, which is the regular, typical yoga. And then I went into Kundalini yoga, which is the yoga of awareness, and it helps you balance and unblock the chakras. And that was the most powerful kind of yoga I ever practiced. And I became an
Hmm.
instructor of it because we need to learn to manage our energy. And many times, as energy moves through the body, it's supposed to flow, and sometimes it gets stuck, right?
Hmm.
Emotions, trauma, fear, whatever it is, can block that energy. And so, when I understood that there's parts of my body that needed to be healed, part of my emotions that needed to be healed, it was many years of investigating different healing art modalities, from Reiki to Golden Light Healing, hypnotherapy, NLP, and everything. And it brought me to where I am today, where I believe that we need to really find the root cause underneath whatever it is that you're dealing with. And usually it has to do with when we were young and whatever happened to ourselves, and have the courage to go heal it and basically
Hmm.
bring ourselves back to the present. And in the process, we transform a lot of things, we let go of things, and it takes courage. But that process of healing is ultimately what empowers us in the present. And some people are up for doing it, some people are not. And we're here to serve the ones that are ready and willing to do that kind of work. And so for me, it's an honor to do what I do. I've been doing this work for 23 years at this point, and it all starts with wellness. It all starts with self care. It all starts with prioritizing ourselves, not abandoning
Hmm.
ourselves, and putting balance in the things that we do for others as well. So, yeah, the healing process was long, and it always goes full circle, right? Because the things that I was learning is what I'm teaching now. And
Yeah.
I can come from a place of personal experience and having gone through it and guide people through it much easier than just talking about it intellectually. There's a transformation that
Yeah.
takes place that's more important than knowing. Like you said, certification is not important, it's the embodiment. So it's not knowing what's keeping you stuck, it's transforming, letting go of what keeps you, limited in the way that you are or the results that you get, to remove that, transform that. And then we're a transformed version of ourselves. So, yeah, transformation is what I sum that up all as,
Yeah.
transformation. Yeah.
I love that. I it is mind blowing when a human realizes that emotions are stored in the body, especially people like myself who I stuffed my whole life. I always say I stuffed my whole life, and I'm not talking about my bra. but but when we realize that emotion, like stuffing our emotions, totally messes with our physical health. And sometimes that's what's causing the holding on to weight, or that's what's causing inflammation. I saw this thing yesterday. It said, "Do you have inflammation, or have you been holding in a scream for 20 years?" And I went, "Oh, that's good."
Right. Yeah. That's
Yeah.
exactly what I'm talking about. You summarized
Mm-hmm.
it with one comment, right? It's the same concept. So what did I have to say? What did I have to express? What did I have to? And so when you balance the throat chakra, a lot of addictions with food, kind of dissipate, and you learn to become more expressive. And I tend to be very emotional, and that part of me kind of had been hidden. And now that I
Mm-hmm.
clear that, I could cry in a whim and it just comes up. which
Yeah.
is, I think, what I was trying to hide. It was being emotional, being an empath in the world could be overwhelming. But I have that sensitivity that will had also been hiding with trying to remove the empathy, trying to remove the deep feelings, the high sensitive part of me.
Mm.
So yeah, it's um it's a concept that I think we're tapping into as society to understand emotions linked with obesity and overeating and channeling it through a different way or trying to channel it ineffectively through a different way.
Hmm.
Yeah. Mm.
Yeah. Could you, just for the sake of the listeners who don't know what chakra is, could you explain what that is?
Sure. Yeah. So in the yoga and the healing work traditions, we talk about centers of energy that spin, and we call them chakras. So there's 7 centers in the physical body that are linked with emotions, the experience, and the sense of feeling of certain different ways. And I have a little thing that I always keep by my office. So it's represented with all different colors and they're linked with emotions. So we
Mm.
go from the root chakra, which is based on survival, fight or flight kind of thing, and you get triggered when you're not in a sense of safety. And then it goes into the navel point. There is where you feel a lot of the sensations, the sacral, you know, chakra. Then we go to the solar plexus, which is in the middle of the center of the body, and that's very commonly misaligned, especially for women. They get very much weak and misaligned. Then we go with the heart, a lot of emotion as well, and then the throat, third eye point, and the crown. There's two at least more that we talk about in the spirit world that a lot of people don't align with, but in the physical body, there's 7. So we want to think of the energy flowing through it. So the energy goes from the bottom of the spine all the way up, and it goes up, balanced and unblocked. And when there's a blockage, what can happen is that could be the cause of a disease or feeling anxious or depressed or irritable or things like that. And so when you go and address the root issue that is inside of the emotional side, the energetic body, then you can solve a lot of the things that are happening in the what I call the 3D world, right? With our
Hmm.
reality right now. So we address it energetically, but we come back to be more effective and powerful in the physical body. And so that's basically the chakras. It's the energetic body, and there's
Hmm.
7 centers that you want to keep unblocked and the energy flowing through it. So when you think of health and you imagine that little drawing that goes up like that, cross, and then it's like a
Yeah.
cross with a serpent going up. So basically that's it. It's energy, the flow of
Mm.
energy in your body. Hmm.
That was beautifully explained, by the way.
Thank you.
So going back to your story, if you're open to sharing,
Sure.
why was your throat chakra blocked?
So I grew up, I was the youngest, or I am the youngest of 4. And, growing up, my parents were hard workers. My parents owned a pharmacy. At the age of 3, they opened this pharmacy. And it was source of many, many, many blessings and abundance in our life. But truth be told, they fought real hard for at least 5 years from the opening,
Hmm.
age 3 until age 8, somewhere around that. And then my memories from age 8 to age till 19 that I left my country, it was a sense of abundance and comfort, right? But it was because of those 5 years that they had to put everything in the line to open up the pharmacy. My parents did not even finish elementary school. One of them finished
Mm.
elementary school as I grew up. My dad, came from the war. My mom came from extreme poverty, and my dad was somebody who fixed watches, and he kept on getting
Mm.
robbed. So many things happened when he kept on getting robbed that he said, "I can't keep this business," and they decided to open up possibilities. And then my mom, one thing led to the other one. They opened this pharmacy that was open for 34 years. So how I started in the holistic world and how is that related with the story I'm telling you is that I saw the medical industry, the lies of
Mm-hmm.
the medical industry. And my dad used to say it takes 7 days to get rid of a cold or a flu with medicine, and a week to get rid of it without. So, I saw the side of medical industry deceiving, a lot of misled information. It truly doesn't focus on healing. And then being raised, I dealt with having to heal myself and not finding answers in the medical industry. My speech therapist said she couldn't help me. The doctor said there was nothing wrong with me, and I kept on developing these nodules on my throat. I think it was suppressing emotion and expression. Not being heard, being the youngest of four, you get whatever is left. You inherited all the clothes and all the ways of doing things. And so being the youngest of four, I had a lot emotion, a lot of things to share. I was feeling deeply a lot of times, and I think that's what it was. It was suppression of emotion and energy and expression, and not being heard. And so it kept on triggering that lack of balance in the throat. I simply now have
Mm.
learned how to bring my pitch up and deal with a lot of things that help me be grounded and centered so that I can many times, go through the healing process, but it still gets affected today. If I'm not really embodying, like you said, the fullest
Yeah.
expression of my authentic self, what I came here to do, to bring about, to share. It's important that we have that opportunity to share what we want to with the world. And when we don't, we get sick, we get depressed, we get anxious, we get out of sorts. Um, so yes, that I think that's a good way to explain it. If you have any other questions, I'll be happy to go more in depth.
I think my question for you would be, so I focus on health is behaviors, behaviors and habits. It's not how much, it's not what the scale says. It's not, I mean, it could even go to, it's not what your body fat percentage is or your BMI, which is shit, by the way. It's health is behaviors and habits. And so I guess my question for you, what are some of the behaviors and habits that you have adopted in order to keep that energy balance in your system?
The morning routine is, in a nutshell, what it is. I wake up in the morning, I
Mm,
meditate, and I go from meditation into breathing, and then I do yoga. And different days I would do different things, depending on the time of the year. But basically, a variation of movement and breath work and yoga. It's part of my morning. It helps me. It helps me, sort myself out. Prayers as well. I've been practicing Buddhism since 2005, although I was raised in a Catholic household. And it helped me.
mhm,
And it's a form of active meditation with Nichiren Daishonin's Buddhism. And the last many years, however many years it's been since 2005, it's part of my lifestyle. It's part of the way I do life. And if I don't have that guide me, I fall out of pattern. I fall out of, taking care of myself. It's very easy for me to overgive, to not have that sense
mm,
of balance. And what I teach my ladies when I talk about self care is that there's this triangle of body, mind, and soul. And as women, we are driven. We want to have a career. We want to marry. We want to have kids. Then we want the white picket fence house, and we want abundance. And then we want the house and the car in the driveway. And so we're always driven by all these outside things, in addition to people needing from us as women, as mothers, as wives, as, very important motors of companies and things like that. And so we tend to overgive. And this triangle, where you should be at the top of it, goes upside down. So then you have
mm,
yourself at the bottom of the barrel, and you're struggling, you're overgiving, you're burned out, frazzled, lacking focus, beating yourself up, making yourself wrong because you should be able to, la la la. And you have this red cape syndrome where you saved everybody and the world, and you're struggling, spinning in wheels. So I work on this process first. You need
mm,
to be your own priority, and not from a selfish place, but you need to take care of you. It's important that you
Yeah.
replenish. If you're a heart centered person, it's important that you replenish what you give, that you give yourself a little extra, so you're giving from surplus and not the last little bit of it that you have
Yeah.
energy left. And so, minding the energy, really having that balance of giving and receiving. The receiving is still something that I'm going to be quite honest, even as a coach and having done all these years of things. It's beautiful to give, right? But receiving is a sort of challenge that, as heart centered individuals that like to make an impact, is still a challenge. But it is
Yeah.
required in order for that to be balanced: the body, the mind, the soul, and that sense of flow of the energy that we've been talking about. So, morning is the key, and then having very
Hmm.
clear goals. So, I don't shoot for 50 goals, I shoot for three things I'm going to do in the week. And I guide myself on Monday, setting the intentions. Throughout the week, I manage that. By Friday, I'm celebrating whatever I accomplished. Whatever didn't get accomplished, it goes to the next week. So we don't get overwhelmed. That's another thing,
Mm.
right? So you're highly
Yeah.
sensitive. You tend to get overwhelmed, out of sorts, spreading thin, abandoning yourself. And so having that self care be the priority and not coming from a place of guilt or feeling selfish, understanding that everybody around you has a better version of you available for them and whatever they want to accomplish if you take care of yourself. And I think as a mom and a woman, that's a very, very hard concept to grasp and
Yeah.
furthermore
Oh
to
yeah.
embody.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
so that's how I
I
see it.
I the piece I want to open up a little bit more is talking about, just setting like 1 to 3 goals versus like people tend to start their health adventure wanting to do all the things right now, starting tomorrow. Like starting tomorrow, I'm going to work out 6 days a week. I'm going to eat perfectly, which there's no such thing as eating perfectly because it depends on the person. And I'm going to do all the things. I'm going to drink my water and and then by the end of the week, they quit
Hmm.
because it's
Yeah.
too much. So, with my clients, I'm like, well, let's start with one thing and
Hmm.
do it for a month. And um, like nutritionally, people are so, I know this is kind of like off topic, but nutritionally, people are so used to taking away. What am I going to restrict? And I'm more into, well, what can we add? Like, can you add a green salad to every meal for a month? Let's start there. And that's your goal. Just do that for a month until it becomes habitual. It's like you don't even have to think about it. You just make the dang salad with your meal. So, anyway, I digressed a little bit, but back to what you were saying, just having not all the goals at once, just like 1 or 2 or 3. It helps the person adopt the behavior much more quickly, I think.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I tend to have a lot of the ladies that, you know how it is as a coach, you tend to have the people that need your specific expertise come to you, gravitate
Mhm.
towards you.
Yeah.
So the people that I tend to attract are people that have done a lot of personal growth and development, and they still feel that they don't have that thing down. They're
Mm,
overwhelmed, spinning in wheels, burned out. They intellectually know what they got to do, but putting it in practice is absolutely a different um, challenge that they have to encounter. I think that all of us coaches could simply be called accountability coaches, and we have a point of focus, right? But it's really holding people accountable to do what they have to do without falling into
yeah.
overwhelm and or giving up. And so I understand what you mean. That was very, very much something that I talked about all the time with people. So making a goal list is something you can focus on more than three. But every week, if you put more than three things on your plate, it is common that you end up giving up. And it could
Mm,
be for personal, self care, and it could be for business, or it could be for anything you try to accomplish something, doing something, remodeling your home or something. It's just more than three things becomes overwhelming. You lose focus, you spread thin, and nothing ends up happening. So if you were to put three different simple things, and then what you're looking at is not the outcome of it, you're looking at the, like you said, the behavior. So I
hmm
have to If I want to take care of myself, then I have to do the three things to take care of myself. So it's the behavior that you're managing, celebrating, and feeling accomplished about, because that's what's going to bring the result. Sometimes
Yeah.
we tend to get attached to the outcome. Oh, I want to lose 2 pounds. That's a perfect example, right? Or I want to do da 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 da. No, you have to focus on your behavior. Your commitment is going to the gym 3 times a week and eating right. It's not losing 2 pounds this week.
Mm-hmm.
So when it comes to consistency, we tend to have a weak muscle with that, and to
Yeah.
have somebody to hold you accountable and remind you that you got everything you need is priceless. And most people have, most powerful, effective people have a coach for a reason, because it keeps you aligned, it keeps you focused, keeps you moving forward. It doesn't let you fall and overwhelm or give up. And I think as human beings, we tend to have all of things that I just mentioned be a challenge for ourselves.
Yeah. I love that. And, my coach has explained to me before that the purpose of goals is actually not to achieve the goal. The purpose of goals is to get into motion and then
Right.
adjust and tweak the goal as you go along.
Hmm.
So, so if you're constantly achieving goals, which is not a bad thing, I'm trying to remember how he explained it to me. If you're constantly achieving your goals, what are you learning in between? Or is it goals that are challenging you or whatever it is? But the main piece that I wanted to point out is like the whole purpose of goals is to get in motion
Hmm.
and then see while you're in motion if that's even a goal that you want.
Hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and having the goal, when you have a goal, it pulls you forward.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I like to liken it like a vacuum cleaner. It pulls you
Yeah.
forward
I want to
because
do
you're
that
like
too.
trying. Yeah, I just like that metaphor. It's like it's pulling you,
Yeah.
like you're going through a tunnel and being pulled, from that future place into being. So when you have that clarity, it helps you. Um, People tend to get really attached to how it looks and the scale and things like that in your
Mm-hmm.
particular thing. And in mine, it's like I want to accomplish the goal, but I don't see the pathway. And it's more about putting the structure in the pathway. The goal is going to be a given as long as you keep the accountability week after week, which is most people cannot hold themselves accountable. And
Yeah.
it's not just you or me or them, it's like all of us. We have this weak muscle of accountability. And even with a high level of commitment, we tend to fall into doubt and procrastination and lack of clarity and overwhelm. So when you have somebody working with you and creating that simplicity and clarity, things flow much faster and easier.
Yeah.
Hmm.
100%. I know
Yeah.
for me and my I like the word adventure rather than journey. But in my past, my goal was always to shrink my body and be as tiny as possible because I learned growing up that I take up too much space. And
Mm-hmm.
so in that being my goal, I basically thrashed my body and my health. So it did the opposite effect of what people typically want to lose weight for in the first place. So, yeah, that was my example. I don't remember where I was going with that thought.
Hmm.
So, well, I do have one more question for you
Hmm.
that I ask everyone at the end of every episode, and that is if you had one piece of advice that you could give to the world, what would it be?
Take the time to align with your own dreams. Like, take the time of your day to be clear on what it is that you want to accomplish and have a structure that you follow to do that. I find that a lot of people have given up in their dreams. They don't believe they're possible. Therefore, there's no structure to accomplish them. And I believe that dreams are reachable as long as we have clarity on what it is and we have a structure. So we have to start dreaming. Again, that's what
Mm,
I find that is the case. Um, So yeah, aligning ourselves with it is possible. I got what it takes. I can do it as long as I stay consistent and develop a plan, that holds you accountable, that makes you see it possible and moves you forward. Because I find that when we make progress a little bit at a time, cumulative, it makes a big progress. But we cannot see it at times. So being consistent is what's key. Otherwise we're gonna feel like we didn't accomplish anything.
Mm,
So yeah, I find that little things move us forward more than the big picture sometimes. So
beautiful. I love it. Beautiful beasts. Natalia Schifini signing off. Until next time.